Hey everyone, hope you're well. Back in Black is a 2007 exploration of what would happen if Spider-Man just stopped holding back. The brutal, violent, crazy version of Spider-Man that is actually pretty frightening. Actually, if you don't know the character from before, I think your introduction would be pretty scarring. And if you, like me, are a fan of the character from many moons back, then the transformation into what Peter Parker becomes in this comic book is truly horrifying. It really is. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing as far as this run is concerned. It's a great exploration of the character, written by Michael Straczynski and drawn by Ron Garney. This took place within the pages of the Amazing Spider-Man issues 539 through to issue 543, and the violence in this it is significant and it is spectacular. It really is. I don't think I've ever seen this character portrayed. It's not that Spider Man hasn't let loose in the past, he has, but the sheer malice and the sheer sort of sort of disregard for his surroundings or the amount of damage he's causing, it really is on another level. So the story takes place almost immediately after the Civil War event. So by this time, people are aware that Peter Parker and Spider Man are one and the same, and it revolves around Peter's quest for vengeance after Aunt May is shot outside their home, and he basically sets about trying to find out who's done it and why they've done it, but more than that, to basically find this person and beat the living crap out of them. Initially, when Peter Parker begins his investigation into whoever it is shot Aunt May, he goes about the whole business in his civilian guise as Peter Parker, during which he assaults a police officer. He goes to a gang member's den and beats everybody up. He goes to various people who he regards as witnesses and or suspects and breaks a few bones, throws people around, smashes people in the face. I mean, he. I would say he's probably just one step short of being the Punisher, only because he doesn't actually kill anyone. But seriously, reading the book, you do feel like he's about to commit murder. You do, and that's amazing writing. That's amazing artwork. I think he's basically just shy of becoming a murderer. I think he really wants to do it, but there's this code of morality that he's so far lived by, and perhaps as a result of his upbringing, is keeping him from taking that one extra step into murderdom, as it were. Um, Eventually, he does put on the costume, but it is the black costume. My favorite costume, my favorite Spider Man costume. I've said this before. I think for me, the definitive costume, Spider Man costume, has to be the black one, without a shadow of a doubt. And for the purist amongst us, it may well be the red and blue, and I can see why. It's the classic Ditko costume. But the true essence of Spider Man, I think it comes out in this image right here. It's menacing to anyone who's considering a life of crime. Look at this. This is what you're going to face. And truly, he is a frightening character in this black costume when he's facing off against his opponents. He's not holding back. It is really something to behold. Anyway, to cut a long story short, um, he eventually discovers that the person behind the whole thing is, in fact, the Kingpin. Spider Man breaks into the penitentiary where Fisk is being kept, and Fisk, of course, is partly running the jail system over there. So he's able to procure his civilian clothing, because he's aware that there's a showdown pending with Spider-Man. What he isn't aware of course, is that Spider-Man is no longer holding back, and so the Kingpin is about to have the surprise and beatdown of his life. He just doesn't know it yet. Now, when Spider-Man enters into the jail arena, as it were, the Kingpin is waiting for him, surrounded by the other inmates who are obviously looking forward to this showdown. And Spider-Man, unperturbed by the presence of these other inmates, because let's face facts, he could kill them all right now if he wanted to, right? He's in a serious mood and he's looking for a fight. This isn't one of those situations where if the Kingpin was to back down, he would just sort of like say, "Yeah, okay, fine." Nope. Spider-Man over here has decided that he's going to put a beating on him, and he basically says, "You and me, right now." Something to relish from this panel is that and this is really really interesting. Fisk Kingpin is genuinely unaware of the depth of rage that Spider-Man is feeling right now. I think he's so used to the goofery, the sort of like jokey, sort of absurd nature of Spider-Man. At least when he's engaged in battle, that he genuinely cannot imagine what is about to happen to him. And in fact, if you, like myself, did not jump straight to the end of the story to find out what happened, and you actually went page by page, you yourself would be very surprised as to what happens in the next few panels, as I was. And we're about to see that you should never push a good man too far. The Kingpin makes the fatal error of goading Spider-Man by calling him a chump. Um, Basically, he considers him to be an idiot who's lost in sort of like outdated ideals. But that is his greatest error, because Spider-Man lunges at him with such speed and ferocity, striking him striking at him from different angles, that the Kingpin doesn't know what's hit him, and he's completely dazed and confused. The brutality of Spider-Man, or Peter Parker rather, is only just beginning. That initial beatdown was nothing compared to what's about to come next, and to really, smash the point home, Peter Parker takes off the mask whilst telling the Kingpin that Spider-Man is not there to kill him. Peter Parker is. Peter viciously lunges at the Kingpin and smashes him really hard in the face, and then continues to beat him mercilessly in front of the other inmates, completely destroying the image of the Kingpin and basically humiliating him, and probably mentally scarring him for life. To make matters worse for the Kingpin, Peter really rubs it in. The fact that he's humiliated the Kingpin to such an extent that is something that he really can't recover from. I mean, how do you recover from being battered and having your image shattered in front of the entire inmate colony of a prison that you previously were running, and that too by someone whom you considered a buffoon previously? So Peter is in true sort of malicious form here, making sure that that Kingpin gets the message that he's not playing around. To me personally, this has to be one of the most damning images of the entire run. I mean, the fear, the defeat, the just the sheer inconsequence of the Kingpin is demonstrated so powerfully here. The absolute confidence of Peter holding on to the Kingpin from his skin, right? That's not a shirt he's holding on to. That's the Kingpin's skin, and I mean that's got to hurt anyway. But the Kingpin is completely helpless. And just a few panels ago, we saw him decked out in his most regal outfit, a smug smile on his face, and now he's completely obliterated He's like a child, completely sort of helpless. There's nothing that he can do against Peter Parker, um, and he knows it. This this is a beautiful. I mean, it's a vicious panel, but it's a beautiful panel because it really genuinely depicts the situation perfectly here. Now, the cherry on the top in relation to this beating that the Kingpin takes from Peter is that before departing the penitentiary, uh, Peter says to the Kingpin that your life is basically hanging by a thread. If my Aunt May survives, you survive. But if my Aunt May should die, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill you. And the way that he describes how he's going to kill the Kingpin, it's horrific. He basically tells him that I will stick my wrist in your mouth and I will fill your gullet and insides with fluid, web fluid, which will expand and it'll choke you and rip all your insides out and you will die a horrible, painful death. This is absolutely bonkers for a character like Spider-Man. I mean, I don't think I've even heard dialogue like this from the Punisher or Wolverine. I don't think Wolverine has sort of gone into so much detail about what he's going to do. I mean, he might say, "I'm going to cut your head off," or "I'm going to stab you in your kidneys." Fine, but the cool, calm, collected way in which Peter describes how he's going to take out the Kingpin, that oh, dude, that is absolutely that's mean. That's mean. I actually felt sorry for the Kingpin. Look, I know he's a villain. He's an evil man. He's hurt a lot of people. He deserves what he gets. Fair enough. But just for a brief moment, when you see the Kingpin lying on his bunk like this, completely, well, completely annihilated, you have to feel a little bit. Well, you don't have to, but I certainly do feel a little bit sorry for him. A man who once controlled an empire, now lying in a dingy bed in prison, beaten, humiliated by someone who he thought was a joke. Uh, it's a horrible time to be the Kingpin in this comic book. It really is. But my goodness, what a complete character change in relation to Spider-Man. I genuinely do mean this. I think the writing in this was pretty damn good. Look, whether you like the story or whether you don't, whether you like the idea of Spider-Man as being this sort of like dangerous, spirit of vengeance. There you go. That's a good one. Ghost. It shouldn't be Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. It should be Spider-Man Spirit of Vengeance. Because my God, with that costume and with that mean streak that he demonstrated, I think that Spider-Man's probably one of the most unbeatable characters in the Marvel universe. He's always, he has always held back. I recall reading somewhere that there was a, I think that this was during the Superior Spider-Man run, where Spider-Man was in the middle of beating someone again to a pulp, and Thor and the Hulk were holding each of his arms. And he basically, I mean, look, these are super powered superheroes, right? But basically, he was struggling, and they felt him struggling to the point where he was almost able to move them, and they were awed by how strong Spider-Man truly is. And he is tremendously strong, and you don't want to piss him off. I mentioned in a earlier video that Spider-Man, this version, this black clad version of Spider-Man would be a prime candidate for a R rating, like Deadpool type movie. But I think it'd be even better than Deadpool. I really do, because Deadpool's humor isn't for everyone. It really isn't. But the serious, deadly Spider-Man in the black costume, going out and beating people to a pulp, would be phenomenal. And I think that this comic demonstrates really, really well why that would absolutely work. So yeah, guys, here it is. Here's my rambling presentation of Back in Black, which I think is a really good comic. It look, it's a good comic because I think it's quite well written, and the artwork is really good. It's really good artwork, and the violence is really well depicted, and it is in certain parts very scary if you use your imagination and put yourself in the position of someone facing Spider-Man when he's like that. It's pretty scary. Some people have criticized the fact that it's so damn depressing. You know, Peter Parker can't seem to get any leeway in relation to this universal onslaught on his happiness. He just can't be happy. He can't. And people have criticized that. They've said that, look, you've got to give this guy a break. I mean, you're killing everyone off. Everyone he loves is like a target. This is insane. But putting that to one side, I think it's a very effective comic book. If you haven't read it, please take the time to do so. I hope you've enjoyed my rendition of the summary of the book and my commentary on you know what I feel about the book, and I do think it's a good story. It's a good story, and it shows a side of Spider-Man which I'm really glad they did with this black costume. I'm so glad they used the black costume, not the red and blue, because the red and blue I think would have been wasted in relation to this particular aspect of Spider-Man stroke Peter Parker, this darker, more malevolent aspect. So yes, that's my rambling come to a conclusion. Guys, as ever, thank you so much for your time. I really do. I can't say this enough. I really appreciate the fact that there are people who are watching this and hopefully taking some pleasure out of it. Like and subscribe if you will. And I will see you in the next one.